In this class, you'll be learning how to make these trendy 3D applique petal designs. As you can see right here, petal can be used for decoration. Okay, you can use it to decorate your dress at the end of the day, and it gives your dress that gorgeous effect. So for that class, I'll be using this dollface satin fabric. I'll use it for both lining and fabric, and I'll be using my interfacing. What I have here is a hard stay. It's called a peplon stay. So we'll be sticking this peplon stay to this before we cut out the petals. So I'll be going to the machine now, and the first thing I'll do is to stick my peplon stay. I don't really have enough of it, but each one I want to cut now, I'll stick my peplon stay. So if you have enough, I will advise you put all your peplon stay on your fabric before you cut out. So I'll go ahead now. I'll use my iron. I'll stick my interfacing. Of course, you know how we do that. So I'm going to do that right now. Right now, I've gone ahead to stick my fabric on the interfacing. Okay, so this interfacing has to be a hard one. Okay, if you really want to have the desired effects of the petal design on the thumbnail. So I'll just use one. I will mark out one right now, and I'm going to use this one I'm marking for the whole of the design. So the width I'm using here is 4 inches, and the length I'm using here is 7 inches for my petals. So you can see the marks, 7 inches on the length and 4 inches on the width. So this includes both our seam allowance. So I just want to make a straight dotted line, so it will guide us on how to design this petal. Okay, so in case you will not be able to get this petal accurately the way you actually want it, so I'll just go ahead and do this with my pattern paper. I'm just making it with my pattern ruler, sorry. I'm just making it easy for you in case you find it difficult. So you can now go ahead and do something like this. Okay, so I'm highlighting the point I have right here. Okay, all right, so if you want it bigger, that is by choice, and if you want it smaller, you can go ahead and reduce it. So I've highlighted what I have here, and that is the design petal we are going to use. So I'm going to cut out what I have right here. So you actually need to be creative with it. You can even give it a pointy edge. Can you see? You can even give it a pointy edge, so by the time we cut it out, it looks like the flower design we all know. Can you see that? So I'm going to place this on top of this, and I'm going to mark out all. So I'm using this pattern to mark out all my pieces right away, and right here I have about 7. You can see all the pieces I have. So it depends on how many number petals you want to make. So if you want as much petal as possible, this is it. All right, beautiful people, so I'm done cutting the petals and their linings. Okay, so for the petals, you can see them. I have my interfacing here. The interfacing is actually very strong. So the lining, you don't need to add any interfacing. If you don't want to struggle turning it, please don't add any interfacing to it. Okay, so just cut out the lining the way it is right there, as you can see. So the next thing we are going to do, we're going over to the machine, pick up one and use the lining to face it. Can you see that? Then we are going to sew this way all around, and that is what we are going to do for all of them. We'll pick up each one and use the lining to sew them. So let us do that now. Fix it together. You start from the pointed part and sew off. Okay, you can see how I'm sewing. Just use your description. I'm not actually sewing at exactly 0.5 because I don't want it to be too small. So I'm following the shape. You can see how I'm sewing it. I'm following the shape till I meet the part I started and I'll back stitch. So this is what my sewing looks like. So right now I'm trimming off the sides. I'm done sewing, so you actually need to trim off the sides and open up the lining part so you can turn this very easily. Okay, so I'm turning it right now with my screwdriver, or your scissors, anything can turn it as well. So right now you can see my petals. I've already finished them and I've arranged them, but I need to show you how I finished it neatly. Okay, so I'll take off these ones are finished and I'll bring back the one that we opened. Remember, that was the point we opened, and we used the sharp object to bring out the edges. So to finish this very appropriately, this is what I do. I come in with my hemming gum. This is a hemming gum, and you can use this for so many things, and it can also make your work stable. You can even add stability to this part of the lining that we did not add hasty. So I will just push it in, as you can see. Bring this one and push it into the end of it, as you can see. So once I've done that, the next I will do is to pick up the edges. Can you see how I picked up the edges? Pick up the edges, because you need to finish this up very neatly. So as I pick up the edges, if you have a steam iron, I'll advise you use it, but if you don't have, you can do what I'm doing right here. I'm using a piece of fabric that has steam in it. Okay, so once I place this, I'll go ahead and iron it out. Remember, I have my hemming gum right there. So if you iron it out like that, you see that part will lay flat for you. So I'll just keep ironing, taking the edges one after the other. Okay, so the steam effects will just help you have a sharp edge, and with the hemming gum in it, you have a very nice finishing. So that is that. So the next thing you will do, the open part of it, you still have your hemming gum there. Lay one on top of one, and you can bring in another hemming gum and place right in between it, and now make a little fold as if you are closing it up. Can you see that? You make a little fold as if you are closing it up. So you have to do that very neatly, so the back will also lay neat and clean for us. So I just go ahead and iron the hemming gum on top of it, as you can see. So doing that, I've closed up the edge. Then you can now finally turn it. You can see it's looking very neat. Then you lay your fabric finally for the final finishing, and with your hot iron you have it. So that is how I finished up this part, and you can see it's still stable, so the steam does not affect it. What it does is even to help you lay it very flat for you. So you can see how neatly finished this is. All right, so at this stage we are done. This is the time for embellishment. So I've placed my stone embellishment. So I'll come in with my fabric that has steam on it, and I'm going to iron it depending on how you want to embellish. Can you see? So if you are using a stone to embellish, that is it. So by the time you take off, you can see you have your embellishment on part of your stone. So I'm just going to embellish just part by part. Okay, I'm not making all the parts. I just want to make it some parts I have the stone, and some parts I don't have the stone, like that. So that's how I'm going to arrange it. So I will just quickly do that now for all of them. So once I take off, I have my stoning. Okay, so you need to ensure you have the embellishment stick appropriately by having steam on your fabric. You still need steam, and you need your iron to be hot also to do this. So let me do that for all now. We are done embellishing right now. So the next thing we are going to do is to go over to the machine to make it have that petal shape. Okay, So I'll pick up one to demonstrate to you. So I'll just go into the machine now and I'll make a dart here. So let's do that. All right, so now I'm going to make darts to it. This is my petal, and you can see it's still very strong and solid. So I'll put it together and I'm going to make a dart to it. Okay, so I'll just make a dart from, not from the middle, actually just below the middle part, as you can see me do here. So this will help you to have that shape, that petal shape. Can you see?